Move on now to a discussion of the cease and desist order at the cell tower. It's been, it's been roughly 2 years since I think that all of this came up. I know I've been at these meetings for 6 months. We have heard a lot of evidence from many scientists. The residents have come in, shared their stories, their testimony, and so I'd like to start with what I know to be true. So for me anyway, it's how I kind of process things. So if we could just start there and know what we know to be true. We know the 2 years, we know the scientists we've all spoken with, Ken Chamberlain, the physicians that we've spoken with, the David Carpenter, Paul Heroux, Sharon Goldberg. I've had conversations with all of them. We've received 3 letters from a physician who evaluated a family, 3 people living in underneath that cell tower, and basically with reasonable degree of medical certainty they felt that those symptoms were connected to the cell tower. We have other residents that have come in stating symptoms. We have the state now saying it's going to become an emerging issue, and we have our mandate as a Board of Health to be protective of people in our community, not just whether it be one person. I looked to see exactly what our regulations said, and the focus of public health is to protect the health of every member of a community, and that was something that was updated in 2006, and it's in our legal mandate as a board. But our mandate is to protect the health of the people in Pittsfield. We all agreed that was an issue. The challenge in trying to figure out what Verizon is going to do at this point is near impossible. We have a strong order with attorneys that are willing to support us in that. We have no idea what, all that we're asking by the order is for Verizon to come to a hearing. And I don't think that's unreasonable, given the fact that for 2 years now, we've been listening to residents come in. We have a physician saying something is wrong here. We have good science out there that's saying that these symptoms are similar and are possibly based on exposure to non-ionizing radiation. We have all of this information, and our challenge is not to worry about the legal side of it or how much it's going to cost or all of that. We put a strong cease and desist order together, which we believe in, which is truthful, which is what we've learned over the past 2 years. This is what the council asked us to do. They said, figure this out, and we did, but you know what? Nobody likes the answer. I have my cell phone. I use it all the time. When the regulations were written in 1996, I don't even know if I had a cell phone. A lot has changed since then, and I don't want to tackle the FCC, or I don't want to make this bigger than this community, but for these people, I feel like my obligation is to issue the order and then step by step and process by process figure out what we do. So we say, Verizon, you come to a hearing. They may not come, they might come. Wouldn't it be good if they came? It would be one of the smartest things they could do. They came into a hearing and sat with us and told us why it's okay to leave the tower up. I would love for them to tell us that. And I feel like it's my obligation to move forward with this. We are not going to have all the answers going into this. We are not going to know. And you know what? The good news is that we can stop at any step along the way. Is to say I believe in the people in that community, that they're being harmed somehow. I don't know what's going on, but it's in line with all the scientific evidence out there. A physician who, anybody else who came in who had a physician say with 3 letters that something was wrong there, we'd pay attention to. The caveat here is that it's Verizon, so we're not willing to do that. And I think that our authority is not any of the other things except to say, do we have a problem in this neighborhood? Yes or no? And that's what we're saying. We think we have a problem in this neighborhood. So I know it's an uncomfortable situation to be in, because I feel like we have a responsibility, and at every point, our hands have been tied. It's been 6 weeks since we decided that we were going to issue the order. It took quite a few weeks to actually find a couple of attorneys who would even help us to get this order on paper. We have a really good order on paper. Those attorneys are willing to represent us for whatever would happen. And at any point, we can say, stop.
Yeah, but we have to pay these attorneys. I mean, I'm not.
We will know that. We will know that before we go into it. Our action is just to decide whether or not we think that these people are in harm's way.
What do you mean we're gonna know that about the?
Well, the order as it's written says Verizon Wireless and Farley White South are hereby ordered to show cause why the Board of Health should not issue an order requiring cessation in operation at the facility pursuant to the Board of Health statutory and historical police power. So within 7 days, we will know what they're going to do, whether they're going to come to a hearing, and then at our discretion, we can plan that. We can decide what the cost is going to be to that, who the experts are we bring to that.
When you say decide, you mean someone will tell us?
We will have that attorney.
The attorney that says, I'm gonna represent you guys, and here's my fee.
Correct.
Right, okay.
Yep. And then at that
fee,
point, yes.
That fee is, we, the board, we're hiring this attorney, is that right?
It usually is.
The board?
We would go to the council, and we would request at that level.
We would
for
request
support.
that fee from the city council.
Correct. But we have no idea what that is. They may not decide to come to a meeting. They may decide to go to the State House and file an injunction that will come with a certain action on our part. At which point then.
If that happens, sorry.
Yeah.
If that happens, am I right in a guess that we would hire an attorney to battle that injunction, and then we'd have to go to the city council to get approval for that?
I mean, I think we
fee?
should have an attorney advising us for the show cause if they request a show cause, which
They would do that.
Okay.
You know, the attorney that we spoke with at the last executive session is the one who drafted with, that's Robert Berg.
Yeah.
Robert Berg.
Yeah, he's excellent. I mean,
Is the attorney that drafted that, along with Andrew Rayner, who is well-known in the state of Massachusetts.
who's executing the retainer with them? Who's doing all this stuff, though? Like,
We're not ready to do that yet. Our job is not to, right now, do all that. Our job is right now to decide whether or not we have I believe strongly that our purview is really to kind of focus on the public health side of this, and then follow on step by step. Once we know what Verizon is going to do, then take the next step, and we work in that direction.
And so I'm not, again, fundamentally, like, I think we're all in the same place relative to, like, this is a public health issue that we desperately want to address.
It's a public health issue, Brett, that's feeling very political, quite honestly.
Yeah,
You know, and it is,
But
and it is.
I'm
And
not
that is.
worried about that as much as, like.
But that is why there's a separation between boards of health and municipalities.
But we still have to rely on the municipality.
We
to
do,
grant
because
us.
we all work together, and we're part of the city of Pittsfield, but our obligation in that is Board of Health and, a health determination. I spoke with the ward counselor, Jim Conant, and he said, do what you're supposed to do. And it's like, okay, I think we need to do what we're supposed to do, and then at any point, if it doesn't work, we can't afford it, we don't get funding for it,
Right.
we back off. But you know what? I feel like we've worked darn hard to get this far. And we have a great order. And it is gonna, I cannot imagine, given the challenge at hand.
I guess I would telegraph the only way I can feel like I can affirm this, and that would be to say that I would support an issuance of the cease and desist conditioned on there being legal counsel in place by the time there is an administrative or any other type of action.
I would totally support that. That is totally reasonable, because that is the only way we're gonna be able to do that.
Can you say? We want to do our best to protect, right? We have to. That's our mandate.
That's what our mandate is.
Right. And so we want to do our best to protect in the very best way we can. Otherwise, we're not protecting. Do you know what I mean? So, yeah, I guess that's all I wanted to say. It's like if we just went ahead and wrote our own cease and desist, it would have been over and
It would have been
done.
over in a minute. Done.
And so, I think we got to keep continuing to do our very best.
It's been-
Good
it's-
recap, yeah.
It's been a really complicated process, and when the council sent it to us, that was before me being here, and you've done a lot of work on this before I even came on board. And the council sent it to us to figure it out, and
Right.
gosh, we did. We spent a lot of time figuring it out. So
So-
now we're ready to go with the great order. We have attorneys who are willing to support it. We let it go.
It would be a modification or amendment to the original order to issue a cease and desist, which would state as follows, that we will issue the cease and desist forthwith, with the condition that we, I will say, may withdraw it
Without
without prejudice, if we are unable to retain legal counsel prior to any administrative or judicial proceeding.
Yep. You got that, Stephanie?
Was that motion
So is that
just
motion made? Did you make that
I
motion?
make that motion.
Can you say that one more time for the record?
Let's just roll the tape back for crying.
Will not.
Okay.
I'll second that motion.
Do I have all in favor?
Oh, is this a
Yeah,
roll
let's do-
call?
we do need to do a roll
Steve
call.
Smith, in favor of the motion.
I'm clearly no, Brad Gordon in favor of it.
Kim Loring in favor.
Bobby Dorsey in favor. Okay. So then, Andy, that order will be issued forthwith. So you can send that to Verizon.